I think it's the best way to share the movie. When we were shooting the movie, being in Oakland felt like the primary character of the story, and so to be here and continue with the spirit of the movie and the essence of its identity feels really special. I love the movie. I love to fight for the underdog, so it's good to be here and represent. You know, I talked to the directors very transparently about not feeling cool enough to play the part, and I had all these other casting ideas for the part, and they were like, no, we want you to do it. And I was like, okay, well, but what about this guy? And they're like, no, we want you to do it. Ryan and Anna were the first directors to send me a playlist based on my character, and it moved me so deeply because I always make a playlist for each of my characters. I always start with some kind of piece of music or song to kind of anchor me into getting started. And so it started like that, and then they blocked me into the early part of shooting. And of course, there are so many interconnected stories, but the intersections are very, very brief and sudden. So in the first part, I was a little bit on a lonely path, and then the moments I got to intersect with the cast felt like these little gems and these magical little intersections of kind of crossing paths with the other stories that are being told within the movie. That's my favorite scene to watch, but it was the hardest scene to shoot. It was a night shoot. We were crunched for time. Jay, who's next to me, was doing a massive action sequence simultaneously, which I had no idea it would look as cool as it did. And we were like, all right, cut. Now you do your thing upstairs, and we'll wait for you, and then cut, and we'll do our thing downstairs. And it looked like this epic thing that they had all this time to do, and they didn't have any time to do it. So, not my favorite scene to shoot, but my favorite scene to watch. And then my favorite scene to do is in the video store. That's all I'll say. For me, there's a lot of nostalgia attached to this movie. There's a lot of love and passion that was put into making it. It's also a story about defending the underdog and fighting, fascism in all its different forms. And I love that. And it's very earnest in that message, and very bold and violent in a very playful way, but very, very sincere in its message of fuck Nazis.